Association of Massachusetts, a prestigious honor recognizing outstanding achievement in the culinary industry. And whereas established in 1937 by Speranza Cabellas, Mezzaluna has graced the town of Bourne for over 8 decades, serving generations of residents and visitors with delicious Italian cuisine and fostering a warm and welcoming atmosphere. And whereas Mezzaluna's commitment to fresh, high-quality ingredients, innovative dishes, and impeccable service has earned them a loyal following and established them as a beloved landmark in our community. And whereas E.J. Cabellas and his dedicated team continue to uphold the rich legacy of Mezzaluna, consistently exceeding expectations and contributing to the vibrant culinary tapestry of life in Bourne. And whereas the Retailers Association of Massachusetts Awards of Excellence celebrate businesses that demonstrate exceptional commitment to excellence, innovation, and service within the retail industry. Now, therefore, the town of Bourne, in recognition of their exceptional accomplishments and unwavering dedication to our community, do hereby commend E.J. Cabellas and Mezzaluna for being named the 2023 Massachusetts Restaurant of the Year. We extend our heartfelt congratulations, and may Mezzaluna continue to delight palates, foster connections, and serve as a pillar of the community for generations to come. In witness thereof, we have hereunto set our hands on this January 23rd, 2024. Mary Jane Mastrangelo, Melissa Ferretti, Anne Marie Sarunian, Peter Meyer, and Jared McDonald. Congratulations. You may certainly say a few words.
Thank you so much.
Speak to the microphone so people at home can hear.
I prepared a few notes. You get older, you can't see much anymore. Okay, I would first like to humbly thank the town administrator and the select board for giving Mezzaluna this citation. It is truly an honor. I grew up here. Sorry, I get a little emotional. I grew up here on Main Street in Buzzards Bay, and all I ever wanted to do was be like my dad and own and run the Mezzaluna restaurant. But I have learned that in order to be successful in the restaurant business, it takes a village. So I would like to thank a few people. My loyal customers. Without their continued support for all these years, when we had the fire through the pandemic, the Mezzaluna would not be here today. My team. I could not do it without them. I did not bring anybody from the restaurant tonight except for Danny, because I could not bring them all, and it would not be fair. But I'd like to say thank you to them for their loyalty, hard work, and dedication to the Mezzaluna. Last but definitely not least, my wife Bernadette, my children who I cherish. Thank you for tolerating me with my crazy hours, late nights, the I will be home in a half-hour phone calls and then show up 2 hours later, the mood swings with the day-to-day hurdles of running a restaurant, the times I was supposed to be at a game or a school event and couldn't make it. Without you supporting me through all the good times and the bad times, I thank you for always telling me it'll be okay and I can do it, and mostly for never giving up on me. So I just leave you with this. I have one last thing to say. The Mezzaluna is going to be here for a long time. My daughter, Gianna Rose Cabellas, is a student at Johnson & Wales University, and she's taking culinary arts and restaurant management, and she aspires someday to take over the family business. So hopefully the Mezzaluna will be here for another 86 years. I'm truly honored. Thank you once again for this prestigious citation. It means the world to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry I have to go, but the restaurant business.
Eat, run.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for
Danny.
coming.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It means the world.
Okay. Now the poll hearing.
Now the poll hearing.
Installation of one new pole in order to service 120 Waterhouse Road.
I think we probably have a representative on Zoom.
Okay, is there someone here from, is it Verizon?
Eversource.
Eversource, okay. Let me get to my right page. Do I need to read all this for the
No.
whole hearing? Good.
No, you can just enter the notice into the record.
Okay, I hereby enter the notice of the public hearing into the record. Okay. So, you may speak to your, request, just,
I apologize. I don't know how you want me to follow that up, but that was amazing. He had me over here choked up, but, okay. It's for one new joint-owned pole on Waterhouse Road, and it's to, upgrade the service on the road.
okay. Okay. Are there any questions from the board?
Is it an additional pole or a replacement pole?
It's a new pole.
It's a new pole, but it's not a double pole, correct?
No, it's not a double.
Single pole.
Okay.
Yes,
And it's on the opposite side of the property, correct? On the, what would be the north side of Waterhouse Road?
let me see the map.
Looking at the map.
Yes. It's on the opposite side of the road.
Okay.
Of the technology park, on Granite Curve.
Okay. Is there, do we just need a motion to approve the, placement of a new pole at 120 Waterhouse Road?
Yes.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Melissa, second by Anne Marie, to approve the installation of one new pole in order to service 120 Waterhouse Road. Is there any further discussion? Comment from the public? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? None. It's unanimous. 300. Thank you. You're all set.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Discussion and possible vote on the constable application submitted by R. Coletti.
He's here in person. Okay.
Is Mr. Coletti here? Oh, welcome. Come to the podium. Thank you.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. You want to introduce yourself and just tell us that you're interested in becoming a constable for the town of Bourne?
Yes, my name is Richard Coletti, and I've been a constable process server for 22 years. I've served thousands of subpoenas and any type of civil process, probate process. I've worked for, I can't tell you, hundreds of attorneys. I'm part of the NAPS organization, which is a nationwide organization of professional process servers. So I have a lot of out-of-state papers that need to be served right here in the Commonwealth. And I feel I could be an asset to the town of Bourne with my experience and my training and just my overall personality.
And we've had a lot of letters of recommendation
Yes.
also.
Yes, yeah. From people within our community and in
Yes.
the community of Wareham.
Yes.
Is, Madam Town Administrator, is there a term associated with this? Is it is this an annual appointment, or is it, do you know?
I do think they are reappointed annually.
So this would be an appointment as a council for a term to expire June 30th, 2024?
Yes. And then it will come
Then it'll
back.
come back, and we'll ask you if you
Renewal.
still want to do it, and then
Yes,
we
yes.
reappoint like we would normally
Yes.
reappoint every year unless, whatever.
Yep.
Okay, is there any discussion from the board? Any discussion from the public? Okay. Seeing none, thank you for responding. We do need another constable, so we appreciate your coming forward.
I appreciate that, too.
Is there a motion to appoint Richard Coletti as constable for a term to expire June 30th, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Melissa, second by Anne Marie.
A
Motion by Anne Marie, second by Melissa. Not to be confusing.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I assume he goes to the town clerk to get sworn in.
Yes,
Okay, I
We will
take it they'll notify me?
yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming in.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Discussion and possible vote to approve the sale of bond anticipation notes.
And I will defer to Erica Fleming, the finance director, on Zoom, if she would like to provide the board with any background.
Erica?
Thank you, Marlene, and good evening, everyone. Today before you, we have a sale of notes. Last Thursday, we held a sale of bond anticipation notes. These are short-term notes to provide cash flow in connection with various capital projects. This is a ban renewal. We added no additional debt. In fact, we did make mandatory paydowns in the amount of $900,878 as budgeted in the fiscal 24 operating budget. The total amount of the note sold is $3,552,402. Per advice of our financial advisors, we elected not to affirm our bond rating this time. They had no concerns about this affecting how the band would sell. That is evident in the sale results, and we were able to save some money, which I like. The sale, again, was a great success. We had 4 bids. We will be awarding to the lowest bidder with a net interest cost of 3.478 to TD Securities LLC. It's nice to see that rates have come down a little bit over the last couple of months. They were close to 5% recently. So with that being said, tonight you have the written vote before you, and you may move to pass the vote as set forth in the document presented if you wish. And please be sure, since there are only 3 of you, that you all sign the required documentation tonight. I'm happy to take any questions.
Yeah, thank you. Are there any questions for Erica?
What was the percent again, Erica? 3.4?
Interest cost?
Yes,
3.478.
That's good. That's good.
That's good.
Yeah. It is good. Okay, any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Thank you, Erica. This is a job well done. I will entertain a motion.
We move in accordance with the document provided for the for the sale of bond anticipation notes.
I'll second.
Motion by Anne Marie, second by Melissa. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. And we will sign all the documents in the pink folder. There's multiple pages, so at the end of the meeting, make sure we get them all
Yes.
signed.
We'll be very careful so they can get FedEx.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much. Moving right along. Town Administrator's Report.
Thank you. I have a short one tonight for you, just a couple of things. I would like to remind everyone that it is time to renew your dog license if you haven't done so already. The bylaw has recently been changed, and the town will not be sending out any reminder notices. Please help us spread the word and encourage people to register their dogs before March 31st, so they will not be charged with late fees and penalties. Registration can be done in person, online, or by mail. If anyone has any questions about registering their dog, please reach out to the town clerk's office. Secondly, I have had an introductory meeting with representatives from Mass Development about the potential redevelopment and reuse of approximately 200 acres of land at Joint Base Cape Cod for housing and other non-military uses. Mass Development has retained the Barrett Planning Group, LLC, Beta Incorporated, and Dotson and Flinker Incorporated to help guide the community engagement and outreach process. It's my understanding that the public outreach and communication plan is still being developed. However, the proposal may be on the agenda for the next Military Civilian Community Council meeting scheduled for February 28th at 5:30 p.m. at JBCC. The town of Bourne will need to be engaged at every step along the way, including how to determine local zoning controls and the provision of future municipal and educational services. I will keep the board fully briefed as I receive more definitive information.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it for tonight.
Okay, next item is consent agenda. We have appointment of Carl Spillhouse, associate member to the Historic Commission as a full member for term, I'm assuming to expire the same term as he had, for a term to expire June 30th, 2024.
I will confirm that.
Yeah, it said current vacancy, but I would say that it
Yes,
doesn't say when the vacancy is, so.
Yep. I'll confirm the end of the term.
Or as determined by the town administrator. Appointment of Zach Camo to the Recycling Committee and the Energy Advisory Committee. Do we know what that term is?
I will confirm all of the terms.
Okay.
I apologize.
Okay. For term to be confirmed by the town administrator. Council on Aging donation for the Veterans Coffee Hour. Natural resources donations for the Shellfish Program. And a date change request for the previously approved Sandwich Bourne Lions Club Rabies Clinic. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Is there a motion?
Motion approved consent agenda items as presented.
Second?
Motion by Anne Marie, second by Melissa. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Next is one-day liquor license for beer and wine at St. Margaret's Parish on 1/27/2024. Is there anyone here from St. Margaret's? Okay, is there any questions from the board? Is everything in order?
It is.
Everything is in order, and they've done this before, so.
Yes.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve a one-day liquor license for beer and wine at St. Margaret's Parish on 1/27/2024.
Motion by Melissa, second by Anne Marie. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous, 3-0. Next. Recreation Committee presentation, needs analysis and priorities. Good evening.
Thanks, everybody. Roger Mailini, Rec Committee, and Jim Linsky. First off, before I get going, I just want to thank the rec committee members for working with this, and a special thanks to Liz. Liz did a lot of work with us. I appreciate it. A lot of work. So,
And I see
Maybe
you
put
have
the
some
slides
members here on
together for
Zoom
us.
also, so members in the audience and members on Zoom, so.
all right, so this is basically how we get started, stemming from concerns voiced by community members. The select board instructed us to basically pause all capital initiatives and take a look at everything we have for assets and what we have for programs. Just to comment on that, I thank the board for doing that because over the years, the select board didn't really pay much attention to our facilities. And this is the position we're in now where they're not in good shape. So I thank the board for doing that. So we didn't really have a plan, and now I think we're on the right track. I just recognize the committee members, myself, Laurie Cooney, Karen Wilson, Jim Linsky, Alice Howe, Linda Fletcher, Laurie Gilbert, Billy Mock, Teddy O'Rourke, and thanks again to Liz and Katie, and prior to that, thanks to Chris Ann also. Everyone did a lot of work on this. So what we did is the planning process to identify what we had to do. We looked at the who, where, what, when, why, and how. I put my glasses on. When we get to the where, one of the things we talked about with the where was, south side, north side. What do we have on the south side of the canal? What do we have on the north side of the canal? And the why piece, the community support and opinion, we got a lot of that from social media. I don't really like the social media that much, but we did get a lot of stuff from social media, and then a lot of residents commenting to us as community members as well. So that's where we got that. And the next one, the how, can information and messaging be improved to reach broader audiences and increase support? That's going to be coming forward. We're going to have communication coming forward. This is just a facilities report, but we have done some work on that. And the thing is that we just didn't think we were communicating enough. The residents didn't know exactly what the rec department was doing unless they were on Facebook. So the SWOT analysis. What we did with this, the SWOT analysis, the strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, or barriers. We met in March. We sat down in this room. Every member went around the table, what they would like to see for recreation, what was going on out there. We had a whole big list of different things. It's in the report that you guys have. And that's how we sort of developed the whole SWOT analysis. And what we also did is we utilized the 2021 Select Board Strategic Plan, the 2019 Comprehensive Plan, and the 2018 Rec Plan. So we kind of looked at that before that meeting to see what was in there. So that's how we sort of developed our SWOT analysis. And then the SWOT analysis, obviously, we got the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And the strengths, we thought we had a wide variety of ages. We have programs that are, for youth, for adults as well. Cross-team support, we felt the rec department works well with other departments in the town and with the rec committee members. And the resourcefulness. The rec department has done a lot of programs with very little resources. They've done a really good job with that. They don't have a lot to work with, and they put a lot of programs out there. The weaknesses, towns geographically divided. That's been an issue for years, that we feel it's divided by the canal. And they've had minimum staffing, minimum resources to do these programs. The opportunities we have, things like bike paths, other new outdoor interests, and reimagined spaces. That's one of the things, you'll see that later. We have facilities out there that maybe they're not used for what they're designed for. Maybe we repurpose those facilities going forward and use them for other activities. And the threats, nothing surprising here. Historically, we've had minimal financial prioritization and wide-scale deterioration of most of the facilities in town. And when we did that, when we did our little roundtable, coming up with everything, just go back to that, Liz. Obviously, the thing that stood out was staffing, maintenance, and communication. So that's where we got the three areas we're gonna focus on, and we developed the 3 working groups. We did all the communication, we did the staffing, we did the facilities, but I know Marlene asked that we do the capital. She sent me an email on that back in February. So we just sort of backtracked a little bit at the end here and thought that that was the most important piece to get out right now, was the facilities, the facility assessment. So that's what we got with that. And then that's good. And just, once again, before Jim comes up, he's gonna talk about the assessments. Like I said, we'll be getting to you the communication and the staffing piece going forward. That'll probably be, I don't know, sometime this summer or in the fall. Okay? So Jim's gonna take you through the assessments, because his group did most of this work.
Awesome. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. I'm Jim Linsky from Pocasset on the Recreation Committee. I want to first also thank Liz for all her help in this. You've got 28 pages in front of you, and she took us through that piece by piece and did a great job. Thank you. And also, I want to recognize Roger. We wouldn't have been able to put this together without his leadership and pushing us in the right direction. So, we have 12 locations of recreation areas in town. 6 of them are on the north side of the canal, and 6 are on the south side of the canal. There are multiple assets in most of the locations. There's a total of 34 assets. 12 locations, 34 assets. By asset, we mean maybe a court, maybe a playground, maybe a field. 5 of the 12 locations have 4 or more assets. So over, I think about an 8-month period, maybe more, our subcommittee, Alice Howe, Bill McCooch, myself, and help from other committee members, we visited all 12 locations and all 34 assets. Some of them we visited multiple times. We were looking at inventory, condition, maintenance, handicap accessibility, safety, and other aspects of our visits. We're looking at page 8. So for each asset, we worked off of a rating scale from 1 to 5, 1 meaning brand new, and 5 meaning extremely poor condition. If you could flip to page 9 for a sec. Okay. This is just an example of what you have in the 29-page report of all the details of each asset evaluation. So so also you see here in big blue, numbers 1 through 5, off of the asset rating scale that our subcommittee put together. Could you flip to page 10, I guess? Is that 10?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay. So we brought all of the ratings 1 through 5 of all the assets back to the whole committee. And we did a ranking, a priority ranking of all the assets. And we all basically voted 1, 2, or 3 high priority, medium priority, low priority of each asset. And based on those results for everyone on the whole committee, you'll see the results on page 9 of the report. So we don't have it up here, but on page 9 of your report, you'll see the priority rankings. And there'll be a group of high, a group of medium, and a group of low. 44% of the assets were rated high priority. And that circle graph on the right shows the 44% and 32% medium. So as we see in the slide, 44 plus 32 is 76, and we've listed over 75. So 76 is over 75. That's good math. So let's flip to page 11, please. So then the whole committee, again, we try to prioritize what's called actionable solutions. And we came up with 2 recommendations. So I guess we can, here we go. The first recommendation, and Roger will turn it into a request when he comes back up. He's the closer today. The first recommendation is a feasibility study of 4 areas. And these areas are the most populated in the villages, which have many assets. And those areas are Clark Field, the Pocasset area, Chester Park, and Chester Park is the area in the Monument Beach Village, as opposed to the Monument Beach fields that are on Shore Road. Sometimes we get that confused. So we refer to the area at Monument Beach Village as Chester Park, which is the real name of it, I guess. And the fourth one is Keith Field, which is in, I guess that's called South Sagamore. That's the field by the Sagamore Bridge. So that's our first recommendation, a feasibility study of those 4 areas. And can we move on, please? Yeah. Oh, okay. And the second recommendation is work on what right now people refer to as a skate park, and it's out back here. What we'd like to do is make it what's now referred to as an all-wheel park. There are many different ways to design something like this, and it's now referred to as all-wheel because it's not just skating. So we're talking about a total redo, redesign, reconstruction of the new all-wheel park. And in order to do that, we feel that it has to be enlarged significantly. And in order to enlarge it, we have to take some of the softball field back here and use some of the softball field to enlarge the all-wheel park, which then means that the softball field will have to be redesigned, repurposed. Somehow we'd have to pay attention to the softball field. So 2 recommendations, feasibility study on the 4 locations, and second, an actual redesign and reconstruction and making a new all-wheel park. If you remember when we were trying to put something back here and we had a couple of meetings out here, there was a significantly large contingent of, how do we put it, all-wheelers. And that made quite an impression. So I think that it's a good first build. I think it'll be very popular. I think we have to be very careful because it probably will have the most equipment, different equipment that's hands-on and wheels-on than most other areas in town. And I was thinking about this as I was coming over, and this is a little off target a little bit, but I certainly would hope that there's security cameras on such a beautiful new all-wheel park out back. And that's it for me, and we'll bring in the closer. And I'll sit right here, take questions after Roger's done.
Once again, thanks to Jim. Jim, Alice, Billy, they did all the work on going out to the sites. I know Jim did a lot of work putting it together, getting all the information to Liz, and she put it all together for us. So thanks to them. So prioritize. The committee's going to continue to evaluate the remaining facilities. So my feelings on that is we do this. Next year, we probably come back with 5 more priorities, 5 more things that we'd like to see get done. And then we'll continue working on the communication and staffing piece. Like I said, we've put a lot of that together already, especially the staffing piece. But we didn't think we'd bring that to you yet. I'm thinking, the end of the summer or fall, we'll bring that out, okay? So, get the next slide there, Liz. So, here's the pass that I have of you. The Rec Committee is requesting Select Board support the FY25 recommendations as presented and further vote to direct the Town Administrator and staff to file 2 CPC applications for the 2024 Annual Town Meeting. $150,000 for the feasibility study for Clark, Pecasset, Chester, and the Keith recreational areas, and $500,000 to reimagine, reconstruct, and enlarge the skate park into an all-wheel facility and repurpose the softball field behind the community building. So that's our ask of you folks tonight. We'll take any questions if you have them.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you all so much. This is tremendous work. You guys, I mean, you can, it started like a year ago, and in this year, you have outdone yourselves in terms of, this is like a plan. I mean, really.
It's great.
It's
feasible.
really
It's-
fantastic. I am,
It's a great vision. It's a fantastic vision for the
I think
community.
this is phenomenal. And I spent a lot of time like reading through the full report and the details on different things that, we needed to document and we needed to have happen. So this is excellent. I'll let other people make comments, and I do have some questions, but anyone have anything else they want to add to that, or?
I mean, I think I can just really jump off what MJ said. I think it's wonderful that we actually have this presentation put together. I know a lot of people, and I know, as you said, social media can be really harsh, and taking a look at it and bringing it on to a presentation that's actually something we can look at and evaluate, I think is just wonderful. And I can see that you've all done a great deal of work, and I know how hard it is to get committees and everyone in one place these days, and so I applaud your effort here.
Yeah. I love the idea of the all-wheeler park. My children have, in their younger years, experienced one we spent a lot of time in Maine, and it's fantastic. You see skateboarders, you see rollerbladers, you see kids on trick bikes, scooters, and just a lot of fun, a lot of community, right?
Yep.
In an area like that. And not everybody's a beach goer. We have these beautiful beaches in our community. We have places to fish, but not everybody, likes those types of activity. And to offer this, I think, is absolutely fantastic. I'm very excited. And kudos to, this is just so much work. And just looking at this, you don't even realize how much we do have. We have a lot of assets that, and there are a lot of people in the community who probably don't realize just how many assets we have. And just to have a focus and a vision for the recreation parts other than beaches for the community is fantastic, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, I want to say I totally support this myself. I totally support both pieces of your project. I have some questions about the 500,000. This is, I spent like 10 years on the capital outlay committee, so I'm really excited to see this, but I want to know about the 500,000. And so when we, and I agree with you about the people that came and spoke about the all-wheel park, these were, people were so excited, with the open houses. They were, and to talk about where they went and what they'd seen and what it could be. But so in the big project that was proposed, there were kind of two different proposals for all-wheel park. One was bigger than the other. When you talk about 500,000, what are we talking about for the 500,000? The bigger, the smaller? And does this also include looking at other purposes for the softball field, like the other space? And I'm thinking really pickleball courts. Like, are we making are we going to be able to at least plan for pickleball courts so that we make our space appropriate for getting some pickleball courts back there?
The first question, Liz gave us some guidance on the cost, but
Yeah.
as far as the other part of the softball field, my gut tells me that would come the next step. That would be the next step.
But I want to plan the space. That's what
Yeah.
I'm asking.
Yes.
Is if I don't want to do this and say, oh, well, we could have put
No.
pickleball courts if we moved that 5 feet over there.
I think it was, we already have that plan that we saw before.
Right,
So
and-
that can probably be tweaked.
Right, yeah, and I think that's part of the thing, that we did spend money on this plan
Right,
before, and
right.
we're not gonna start from scratch. We have
Correct,
plans
correct.
that we can
That's-
use for understanding what
Yeah.
we're doing, and that's kind of where I was getting on this.
Yeah, so that is in the report, the details as far as that we are gonna be utilizing what's already,
Right,
that community engagement and participation is really valuable, and we got a lot of feedback from
Yes.
last year on that. The amount that, were estimated, actually were taken from other all-wheel park projects in other communities, such as Billerica. There's a link in the report.
Okay.
So you can look at examples, and within the Billerica, which I really liked, was that there was a variety of different options for small, medium, and large skate parks, and the quotes didn't go over 300,000.
okay,
Okay, so that 200,000 also is a buffer for the design of it, as well as going into the actual softball field and utilizing whatever monies to reimagine what the rec committee, as well as any of our consultants, can work together along with the community members.
okay. And so that that, there is enough, excuse me, money in there for sort of doing a repurposing so that we have sort of like the softball field and the current skate park or whatever, we have a kind of a plan for what else could potentially do. We're gonna have the plan, we're gonna build the all-wheel park, and we're gonna have planning for what else is going to be part of that repurpose project.
Yes,
Out of
and
this
hopefully the
500,000.
construction of that softball field,
Repurposing.
whatever, yes, but that
And-
whole section.
So there would be additional repurpose, some things constructed. You think there's enough money there for
Yes, I
both?
do.
Okay.
We actually, so piggybacking on that, we did go through our RFP for the hard courts, and that's why the hard courts, part of the first recommendation for the recreational areas, there are hard courts that are currently in the RFP that are gonna be resurfaced. That resurfacing project, though, only buys us enough time for about 2 to 3 years
Right.
worth. As you could see from the photograph that Mr. Linsky had taken, and which court was that? At Pocasset?
It was Pocasset.
No, it was Monument, oh, was it? I thought it was
Okay.
Monument Beach.
You can see the cracks
Oh,
are
it's just
really
a park.
significant. They're more like craters.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and
you
so,
could lose your
but,
foot in it.
but however, our quotes actually came in very decently, and we've just issued the award today, and we're gonna get started, depending on the weather, but we're estimating in April, and we're gonna get done before July 4th.
It's tremendous.
So that is gonna buy us time for about 2 to 3 years, where we can actually work with our consultant for the feasibility study and really identify what are the new uses, what is not being used, what is being used, and how can we actually move forward. There has been discussions about, looking at Olympics and sports, lacrosse, you had the Lacrosse
Right.
Association
Right.
here. And what are those new sports that our community is really interested in? And really putting that into the conversation for planning.
Awesome. Any other comments or questions? This is fantastic. I mean, this is really fantastic, and I think this is really well thought out and really what we were looking for, and I'm just so excited.
You know, just before you start, once again, thanks to Liz for helping us put this together. Thanks for Alice for the hardcore project, because that's finally happening. But,
And all your hours of meetings where you rated things
Yeah.
and went out and did things, I mean, the hours of recreation meetings, have been really fantastic. Your committee, this whole committee has done a really great job. So,
Can I talk a little bit about the next steps?
sure.
Because this is exactly what I needed.
Yes.
So what is going to happen next is I'll work with Katie as the recreation director. I'll work with Matt as the DPW director. And we'll take, the rest of the priorities and draft up a 5-year capital plan. Obviously, Katie will share that back and forth with the Recreation Committee, and things can shift on the 5-year plan, but we'll be positioning ourselves and planning in advance, into the out years, so that when the free cash or the community preservation funds are available, or depending on what type of construction season we need, we can strategically go to town meetings and move forward in, we can't do it all at once, but we can start, we know now what direction we need to focus in on, and we can start putting those plans in place. The capital, as you know, the Capital Outlay Committee has met, and the capital plans for May town meeting, we've presented those, and those are drafted. I have asked the Capital Outlay Committee to meet again, so we're going to meet again for these two projects on February 5th with Capital Outlay. And then I will come back to you, and I will come back to the Finance Committee with a revised FY25 capital plan, including the feasibility study for those 4 workhorse areas and the all-wheel park. So we will catch those up and get those through the process for capital, so they can show up for the May town meeting. Both of these, we will also apply for CPA funds for.
Awesome. This is great. It's really great.
And Liz and Katie and Matt and I will, put that all together with, with the input and the feedback from the Recreation Committee.
And then, how long, when will the other thing, how long do you think it'll take for the other things to get sort of incorporated into the 5-year plan? Do you see that as just maybe for the fall?
Yeah, probably. Well, I don't know. That's a good question. Let me work with Katie.
Okay.
Let me.
One of my questions is, there's like 2.7 million for something that was previously put out there, and so it would be good to kind of, actually, if we could have it for the handbook, an updated
2.7 million for what?
Yeah.
That was for the previous 5-year capital plans of projects. Those are
okay.
gonna be revised,
Yeah.
confirming, yes. That 5-year capital is being revised because we have accurate information
Okay,
now that
yeah.
we're making adjustments, so
So-
that's what I believe Marlene's
The only
talking
reason I
about.
say it would be good to have that revised capital plan for the handbook is that it will help eliminate questions arising at town meeting about what we're paying for, what we're doing. We'll have a complete plan, so I think that would be a goal to have
I'm
that.
sure that we can have, maybe it won't be the final, but we will at least be, there is no final
There is no
5-year
final,
plan,
final.
right? But
Yeah.
we will be able to have a more complete 5-year plan for, definitely by the handbook, based on the priorities that the facilities team has recommended here. So we're taking a very clean slate look
Yep,
at,
that's awesome.
at the capital needs, and won't necessarily keep something on the 5-year plan if it's not their priority.
Okay, perfect. Is there anyone from the public that wants to say anything, or on Zoom? Other than that, I think we can entertain a motion for the select board to support the FY '25 recommendation as presented, and further, as noted in this slide, to direct the town administrator and staff to file 2 CPA applications for the 2024 annual town meeting, for the $150,000 for feasibility study for Clark, Pecasset, Chester, and Keith recreational areas, and $500,000 to reimagine, reconstruct, and enlarge the skate park into an all-wheel facility and repurpose the softball field behind the community building.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Anne Marie, second by Melissa. Is there any further discussion?
One comment. We need to start looking at the maintenance going forward.
Yes, so Katie and I will be working in lockstep with DPW
Yep.
to make sure that we do whatever we design before we build it. We understand the ongoing costs associated with it.
And actually, that is included in the slides you'll see, as well as in the report. That is included in the scope that the Recreation Committee wants for the feasibility study, as well as the skate park is a actual plan as to how to maintain it so it's sustained for a longer period of time,
Thank you.
as well as ADA improvements and other things outlined in the report, so, yes.
Awesome. All right. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. So go forth for
you.
CPA. I just have one thing to say.
Yep.
I did note on Washington Park, there was a talking about tree roots.
Yep.
And if those are the tree roots of the 100-year-old spruce trees,
Probably.
you're gonna have to be careful about how you deal with those.
Probably.
Because those are our shade for our
It's
park.
just noted.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone
Yeah.
on the committee for your hard work. It's really, really great. Okay. FY '25 departmental budget review. Recreation.
Recreation. So,
And,
So if you do have your book, it's tab 9, and it's page it's page 631-64. And as you know, the recreation department is in a state of flux right now. This budget was developed with the prior director. However, I have met with finance and Katie as the acting director to orient her and just double check to make sure that she also agrees with the recommendation in here. And Katie's here also to answer any questions or if you want to talk about any of the operations. The director's position is currently being advertised. We're closing it for a first cut to see what applications we have, and we'll start interviewing very shortly. But of course, it'll remain open until we find the right person. In the meantime, I just want to stress that Katie is running this entire department by herself. She is a one-person show, so she is doing a fantastic job. We have not canceled any programming, and we are maintaining the services that people are, have come to become accustomed to. So that it says a lot about what she's able to do. So when you look at the budget, you'll see that because of the change from a long-standing, very senior department head, there's quite a bit of salary money savings when that position is reset. So that is showing in the department head line. At the contractual increase for the assistant director is shown in the second line. We are also showing all of the salary money needed to staff the lifeguards at the 10 positions that we had last year as well. One of the last summer there were 2 head lifeguards. This summer we are funding 3 head lifeguards, so we'll have one additional kind of supervisory lifeguard. But we're still at a total of 10. This budget is not showing any increase in that staffing. We did last year implement incentive for the lifeguards where if they were able to work the entire season, we did reimburse them for their licensing costs. So last year, for this budget for FY24, we didn't have that broken out as a separate line. We're breaking that out in a separate line so we can clearly show those costs rather than just lumping them in with supplies.
Yep. Can you tell me what the page number is?
Um,
The 295 dash some, or whatever, that page.
631-64.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. I left my book, so I had to get to the.
We are increasing in this budget uniforms, and that's not necessarily just uniforms. That includes program T-shirts and other clothing that may be purchased to support programs. We're also increasing this year the miscellaneous supplies by $3,000, and those are the supplies that are used to fund the community-wide events. So things like trunk or treat, the egg, is it a roll or a hunt?
It's a glow light egg hunt.
The glow light egg hunt, the Christmas dance. So the seasonal events that are open to the community and that you don't have to be a recreation member, a paid.
They don't pay, yeah, it's not a revolving fund thing.
Yeah,
It's
so-
it's paid out of the budget.
Exactly. So those events are not paid out of the revolving fund. They are paid out of the budget, and we're slightly increasing those line items for those. And that's it for the budget changes. And I'd welcome Katie to add anything I forgot, and feel free to ask her questions too.
Are all the salaries in the recreation department paid out of the budget as opposed to the revolving fund?
All of the salaries, yes. The summer camp staff is paid out of the revolving fund.
That's right.
So those,
Those are like hourly temporary though.
Correct.
I'm talking about the salaries.
all of the salaries, yes. So the director, the assistant director, and the lifeguard wages are paid out of the budget. The slide into learning and the summer camp staff are paid out of revolving account because there are fees charged for those, right?
Right. $8,000 was allocated in this for the wages hourly for 2 slide into learning teachers for that 5-week program.
Okay, so that's in the operating budget. That's right. Thank you.
There are some positions that are paid out of hourly temporary, but some of them are paid out of the revolving fund, right? Right. Okay.
The summer program is a revolving fund funded program. So the money that comes in goes out to pay the counselors.
Right. Are there any other programs that are totally paid out of the revolving fund? Or a lot of the programs paid out of the revolving fund?
A lot of, well, yeah, we don't have a programming budget.
Right.
So the money that comes in when people pay their fees to participate in the program, that number is based off of what the instructor is charging us. So that's the fee that we put forward for the
Okay.
residents.
Do you want to talk just a little bit about programs? I mean, I think we know pretty well what's going on there, but is there anything you want to highlight as like you're pretty proud of, or?
Right now, I'm pretty proud of sustaining.
Everything.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm proud.
Should be.
Yeah, I'm proud of sustaining. I've added a couple new ones. Kids Test Kitchen is coming back, and that's a program that teaches kids about nutrition and how to cook. And it's for ages 5+, so that's pretty impressive. But yeah, I'm just proud to be here.
Still standing.
And positive and smiling, yeah.
Do you want to ask them to volunteer for adult kickball?
About dodgeball.
Dodgeball? MJ can ref for you.
I don't know, I don't think I'd go into dodgeball like this year.
Get a bad one.
I'm
Too
in.
tempting for like
make
too many
t-shirts.
people.
Get a team.
And one other thing, in the miscellaneous line, part of that is adding first aid supplies back into the rec department. We had, years ago, it was decided that rec could lump in with the fire department supplies. And when we need our supplies is the end of June. So by that time, the fire department needs to hold on to what they have before
Yeah.
July 1. So this
That
was
makes
a really great move for us. And
Awesome,
Thank you for reminding me of that.
awesome. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Oh, well, thank you very much, and onward and upward.
that's it.
Thanks.
Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, Katie. Okay. Next budget is library?
Library's the next budget. I'm gonna do that one as well. Area's recovering.
Yeah.
If there's any questions, I'll follow up with her and report back to you. So library is just a page before, it's tab 9, page 610-62. We're not adding any staff to the library. The adjustments are the COLAs that are part of the contracts. The oil has just been moved to facilities. We're still paying for it, but it's just being moved to facilities. The data processing service is going up by $3,500, and that includes their new, the new clams, it's not called clams anymore, but the new clams network. There's additional service fees and technology fees associated with that, along with some other of their subscription services. So that's accounted for there. Minor increases in office supplies and their copy machine, some, we had moved out the building equipment supply, we had zeroed out the building equipment supplies. We're putting some of that back in because upon using the budget, there are some very specific library-only things that it just makes more sense to have funded in the library budget. So we are not reducing the books by $58,900. I promise you, I'm not cutting almost $60,000 out of books. That money has been moved and increased and added to in the ebooks line. So before, a lot of the ebooks were being purchased, the ebook licenses were being purchased out of books, but now we're trying to be more clear about which type of material those funds are going to. So you see ebooks increasing by 63,400, and the demand for the ebooks is higher than the demand for a lot of the printed materials.
Yeah, so you have to look at the books goes from 117,000 down to 58, but then the ebooks goes from 1,600 up to 63,000. So it's moved. It's
Yep.
not.
Shifted,
It's not.
yeah.
Yep. Yep,
Makes
it's
sense.
not a reduction. Slight increase for magazines. There's a decrease for the Library of Things, and if you remember, that was a new initiative for last year, so we asked for kind of a lot of money to get started. We don't need to buy stuff at that rate.
Right.
So we're still going to be adding to the collection, but we had the initial seed, and now we'll add, we'll keep adding to it, but not so much every year.
Right.
And that, in a nutshell, is the library budget.
Does the library budget meet our accreditation requirement?
It does, yes. So when finance and Erie and I sat down to review it, we were very cognizant of that and careful about that to make sure that we meet all of our minimum funding requirements to remain eligible.
When you move something like the oil
Yeah.
into the other budget, is it still counted in the accreditation numbers or no?
We have to explain that. So when Iria submits all the documentation for the MAR, she explains that these services, although they're not showing in the library budget, they're still being provided by the town to the library. Okay. And the same thing happened when we removed Hazel's salary out of library and moved it
Right.
for, so we've moved quite a bit of money out of the library budget and into facilities, but those costs are still
Identified
for
And there's
the
a way
library.
to track them as what's for the, well, obviously, the oil that goes to the library is the oil that goes to the library, and what's paid Hazel goes to, yeah.
Right.
Okay. Perfect. All right, thank you. Any other questions from the board on that? This looks good. And as a frequent user of ebooks, I'm very happy.
So I will say, I'm not the library director, but I want to remind everybody of Eria's public service announcement. So remember, we can only use ebooks 26 times, and then we have to buy another copy. So don't be like I used to be, where I would just check out a bunch of ebooks and not read them. I don't do that anymore, now that I know. So there's a drop dead number of times we can use those. They're not infinite.
I'm very careful to postpone my loan until I can actually read it in the time allotted.
Good, thank you. The library budget thanks you.
Yeah, and actually, I tell a lot of people that too. A lot of people are not aware
You have
that
no
it's not,
idea.
that it's not, and it's not like a paper book that you can just keep doing until it falls apart or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, next is town clerk and elections.
Town clerk and elections is on tab 4. In tab 4, it's on page 161-14. Barry Johnson and Mary Fernandez are both here, and I believe this budget is based on 3 elections, but I will turn it over to the clerks to walk you through it. Oh, somebody has their hand up.
Okay, oh, I can't see who that is.
Is that Barry?
It's a phone number. Oh,
Oh, it's
it's
gone.
just a phone number, doesn't
It's
have a
gone.
person's name.
Yeah,
No,
it's
it just
gone.
bumped down, I think.
Yeah.
But the hand is down though.
Oh, the hand's down.
Barry is dialing in, so
Mary.
Bear, are you on the line? Do you know how to,
*6.
*6 to come unmute?
Barry, if you can hear us, hit *6 to unmute on your phone. There you. Yes.
Okay, hi everybody.
Hi, Barry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
first of all, I want to start off by saying how appreciative I am of Assistant Town Clerk Mary Fernandez and the other staff members within the clerk's office. And this next fiscal year is going to be, as you know, it's a presidential election year, and that is always the most daunting task for any town clerk's or city clerk's office. So I'd start off with the clerk's budget. And you will notice that the only increases in this particular budget is in the personnel services, which reflects my salary, a stipend that I get for being the records access officer, and all the other numbers are based on contractual agreements. And so those are the only, in that particular budget, when we talk to Marlene, Liz, and Erica, and Mike, et cetera, we feel that we're comfortable in the clerk's budget in level funding from 24 into 25, all of the other line items. So for the clerk's budget, that's the only other increase. Are there any other questions on the town clerk's budget?
No, Barry, you can go ahead to elections and registration.
Okay, thank you. As Marlene stated, in FY '25, this budget reflects 3 elections. The first one is going to be the state primary, which just happens to be again on Tuesday, September 3rd, which is the day right after Labor Day. So once again, we'll be incurring a little bit of expense, having facilities and portions of the DPW gentlemen having to come over and help us set up in one particular location on the holiday. But they've got it down pretty much to a science now, so it won't take a great deal of time. The first item is the hourly wages, $5,000, and that is all related to the processing of the annual street listing and the census. I want to state that currently we are using 13 senior tax work office folks to help us in this process. Currently we have, based on the 2020 federal census, 20,452 residents, which we're sure has certainly gone up. And as of today, we have 15,849 registered voters. Basically, I'll go through quickly the line items, and if you have questions, just interrupt me, please. The communications is basically the printing of the street listing books. Mary is already looking into various ways to do that, and focusing more on the electronic side of it, and issuing PDFs, but we still do have folks that come in and want the actual hard copy. The next line item is the personnel wages for the conducting of the 3 elections. That's the large increase. I've requested an additional $35,000 in that one line item to cover all 3. I might state that in the primary for early voting, there's only 1 week of early voting for a primary, and Mary and I and Katie have talked this over, and what we're going to be doing for the primary is to be using the front room of the community building versus tying absentee voters, the overseas voters, especially qualified voters, et cetera, et cetera. So that's really the only large increase in this particular budget. The next one is the purchase of services, and that repair contract is for repairing of the automark machines, which you know is the machine that is set up at each location that can be used by anyone, but of course it focuses on with folks with disabilities. The services and the meeting and elections is for that, which will be for the training on staff, ongoing meetings geared towards mainly elections this particular year. The communications is and this one in next page is that amount of money, the $10,000, is actually for the printing of the annual town meeting, town election, which will be held in May of 25. So the operational supplies, as you can see, is just the cost of doing business, some ribbons, tape, seals, batteries for the AccuVote machines, down to the meals and election line item. We have agreed with Marlene's recommendation of $6,000. How we're going to break that out is going to be $2,000 per election. And we're still in the process of trying to develop exactly how we're going to do that. But we've agreed with that recommendation. And the last one is other supplies. This has to do with envelopes and time clocks and supplies. Again, just running the election. And the last one is the travel, basically for reimbursement for us to attend meetings. And also, I have two areas for Constable payment too, because sometimes they post the warrants for the town meetings and things like that, and then we pay a Constable fee out of the election budget when they post the warrants for the actual elections. So that's it. We've tried to be very cautious and trying to follow the guidelines as put out by yourselves and the administration in the preparation of the budgets. And again, the biggest unknown factor here is the election registration budget. But we feel, based on past experience, that hopefully we can coordinate everything and live within what we presented. So, are there any other comments or questions on this particular budget?
Any questions?
Hello?
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? So there is one supplies budget, 5594, that was 6,000 in 2023, but then was zero this year, and is zero, continued zero. Is that's okay? We only,
Yes.
okay.
The 5594 line item has been removed as part of the actual budget line item, and it has been substituted with the meals and election line item.
Okay.
$6,000.
Okay, all right, that makes sense now, I remember that, okay. Perfect, got it. Okay. Any other questions? No, this sounds good. Presidential year is always a,
little more costly.
little bit busy year and a little bit more expensive, but it's an important year, so. Okay, any questions?
ready.
Thank you very much, Barry. Thank you very much, Mary. You guys are doing a great job. You good?
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks. All right, next is ISWM.
Next is ISWM, that's tab 13, and it's page 439-8. And Dan Barrett is back.
Good evening, folks.
Okay.
Thank you for hearing us tonight. I'll try to move through this.
Hang on sorry, Dan. Are you okay, MJ?
Yeah, I have ISWM, but it's like 991 something.
Oh, those are the transfers, I think.
Oh,
The-
okay.
The first,
Yeah, keep going.
yeah,
Chapter 991-7.
sewers first, and then landfill, 439-8 is,
Oh, so it comes after 991, only to be
Yes.
confused. Yeah, okay.
yeah,
No,
it comes
no,
after the
sorry.
sewer transfers, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Sorry, Dan.
Oh, no, that's all right, that's all right. It's always tough to get everybody on the same page.
Yeah, I forgot my
Really?
book. I left my book at home, so I'm just going without tabs and trying to figure out where I am.
Well, we don't have the table anymore, so you know me, I always, I take up the whole table. What I'd like to do
Welcome.
tonight is go over, changes in the budget rather than to go line by line.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys feel about that, I can do that if you want, but.
No.
No,
Thank you.
changes are good, highlights are good.
As with most town budgets, the personnel payment reimbursement is all contractually driven. You know, I like to point out that, you know, I always say we have a very good crew, which we do. And you'll notice that a lot of the increases are the 2.5% COLA, which is a reflection of how long these guys hang in there. And in the solid waste business, that's hard. You don't get a lot of retention. So we're pretty proud of that. We got a good group. Moving right along, we'll move down to rentals of miscellaneous equipment. Do you want me to read the
Just read the number.
account number? It is 5,200, 5275. What that is it's our trailers that we rent. We've had a tough time with William Scotsman the last couple of years. The trailers are not really good. They leak, and we are in front of capital to, now that we know our final build-out and our footprint, we know where we can put our final structure and office. So we're gonna try to build an office as quickly as we can. The speed of that is being driven by the progression of the landfill. We just keep moving. So we're gonna need to be digging where the offices are sitting in the next two to 3 years. So we've engaged contractors to see that gets done, and Marlene's been a great help in pushing that forward for us.
Is that
So
gonna be
these are your
stick-built?
trailers that your office is in, those kind of trailers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna move way down to the other end, past the guard shack, that area that's cleared down there
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
That's where our offices will go.
Are they still gonna be trailers or are they gonna be stick-built?
No, they're gonna be buildings, hard building. The idea there is, and I won't go on and on, but the idea there is that the goal of the landfill is to continue, our ISWM is to continue to keep serving the town as we have been when the landfill closes. The idea is we'll build a transfer station down there. So once the landfill closes, we can continue to handle solid waste and, you know, transfer it out.
Okay.
So that's why we figure that building will come in pretty handy.
So the trailers, but you need them until your building's built.
Correct,
Right,
correct.
so,
But
yeah.
we're gonna need to start digging out where those trailers are sitting pretty
Yeah,
quick.
so
We
you're
got
gonna have to move
500,000
them.
yards of
I
dirt.
got
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, actually, there's nothing beyond that. I mean, there's a couple of lines that have been zeroed out through the work of the finance department. Done a fantastic job helping us out, cleaning up our budget. If you go on to, I believe it'll be page 2, you'll notice there's actually a couple of reductions. I point those out. One of them's insurance. We have a $5 million additional environmental insurance policy we've carried for probably 8 years now. I think this will be our 3rd cycle. We've always, and previously we financed it, and we never really wanted to, and there's no need to. So what we're gonna do is, FY '24, we put $92,500 into this line item to pay for the policy up front. I put $40,000 in there for FY '25 just in case, just as a placeholder. If something happens and we have to finance, I don't know why that would happen, but I figure better safe than sorry. The next one down is, again, reduction in long-term interest. I just keep bringing that up because the finance department over the last 5 years since I've been here, and Marlene and Tony before her, you saw our shift gears to where we want to be. We're paying cash for everything we can pay cash for, and that's how it should have been. So we're very happy about that, and always looking to give them a shout out. Moving on to page 3 in your notes, the account number will be 5,700,579, hazardous waste. That's in section 30. It's going up $5,000. As you know, we are part of 4 household hazardous waste days for the Upper Cape, partnering with Mashpee Sandwich and Falmouth. October's always Bourne's big one that we host it. That's the largest expense. It also pays for the hazardous waste facility, collection facility. We don't collect hazardous waste, but occasionally we get it into the drop-off center. So you've noticed the sheds up there, they have vents on them, they're fire protected, they're explosion proof. A lot of that money, or all that money comes out of cleaning those out every year. So, not a big increase, but an increase nonetheless. The next one is energy, electricity. We took that up $3,000. Again, not a big increase, but we're watching energy prices rise. We've also gone and added some new electric pumps. We replaced a diesel pump on our big leachate tank. We bought a new electric pump for the smaller tank, so we'll have a backup. And as the facility grows, we'll continue to use more electricity. Beyond that, the next one that's kind of a striking one, we've kind of took us a little bit by surprise. We've been at right around $90,000 in that account. I'm sorry, it is 5,200, 5,244 R&M, repair and maintenance on heavy equipment. This year I took it up to 170. What we found last year was the bottoms on the bulldozers were costing right around $60,000, and they stayed that way. They might go up 2 or 3%. They actually went down once. Caterpillar has a very good track system, an undercarriage system called a System 1. This year it went up. We had it budgeted for $60,000. It went up to like $120,000. So we have one coming up next year, and we put that additional funding in there. I was going to talk to Marlene later on, and I don't know if you want to capitalize that. I mean, I don't want to capitalize it, but should we go to capital outlay, whatever. It's a maintenance issue. It's like tires, just on a bigger scale. Much bigger scale.
Big tires.
It's repair and maintenance of your existing equipment. It's not buying you 5 more years of life.
No, but what I'm saying is it will drop down again next year, back down. You'll see it back down in the 90s, maybe 100,000 instead of being 170.
You're gonna pay for it anyway, so just
Yeah.
leave it in operating.
Leave it in operating, yes.
Very good. And on to everyone's favorite. 5294. 5,200, 5,294. We took this one up by $700,000 this year. A couple of quick reasons for that. Obviously, you know our battles with leachate. We continue to battle it all the time. We've done a lot of research on it. Found a lot of different ways to handle it, how to treat it. It's worth mentioning that, you know, ASWM spearheaded this project on PFAS removal. We were one of the first people in the world to solve it. We solved it. We didn't go public with it because, you know, we don't want to be spreading around that we have PFAS. Everyone has it, but we just wanted to be quiet about it. So, kind of proud of the staff for getting that done and the engineering company that we used to do it. But along that same line, we worked on other issues that we have, total dissolved solids, mainly salt, calcium chloride. That's a product, as you might imagine, of burning, so we take a lot of ash. It's very difficult to remove and separate from water, so that's been a real problem for us. Where that's led us is we've had a lot of problems getting rid of the material. And as you know, we produce it every day and it's got to go. We can't hold on to it. We can't keep it. So that was along with the PFAS, that was a 2-year search to find the best way to handle it. And, you know, what ended up happening was we ended up getting tossed out of a lot of the local facilities. They liked us. They liked that we paid. But we were just too detrimental, and it was easier for them to say no. They are providing a public service. They can't get knocked out by something that we did. So we understand that. Lo and behold, very quickly, where we ended up with is we are the first, to our knowledge, in the country, or at least on the East Coast, we're barging leachate from New Bedford down to Passaic Valley Water Authority. They do 400 million gallons of water a day. So we go down there with a barge, and they're like, yeah, okay, get in, get out. And that works out really well for us. They took a good hard look at us. They still do. Every load gets tested. They're able to dump it in the front of their plant and meter it in, so it doesn't really affect them that much. But what it offers for us is a place to go. We don't have to worry about getting turned off. We were getting turned off like every other day at local facilities. We still hold 4 local positions, and we're working on 3 more. It's cheaper to move it locally, and we still are working on a couple more right now. So we'll continue to do that. It saves money, but the barge just offers us the security we need. As a footnote to that, we're into the expansion now. We're into the vertical expansion. We rely on water to percolate down through the existing landfill and onto the existing liner. Sometimes, I mean, we're into stage 1 of phase 9 right now. And you know what the weather's been like. It's just been, I go up there and I just look at the guys, and they're just, moving water around, and we're getting it done. But as Asa said, Capital Outlay last night, he moved 200,000 gallons of water on a holiday weekend to the barge. No problem. Make a phone call, and it's done. So that means a lot to us, and I know DEP was very happy that we were able to get that done. Very happy. So, we got a 5.2 million cubic yard expansion for 20 years. We needed a place to go.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it is. It's working well, but it's not cheap. It's not the most expensive that we were using, but it's not cheap. But it moves, and it moves in volume. Each load, well, we can go over that later, but each load's like over 600,000 gallons. The next one is salvage removal. We took that up 80,000. Pretty interesting stuff there. As I like to say to Phil, we're a victim of his success. He worked very hard to get paint, and a lot of these recyclable commodities that are included in this account to come to fruition, a lot of these programs. Obviously, the most expensive one included in there is the removal of single-stream recycling. That's probably about 90 to 95% of the cost, and that's volatile because it's a recycling market. So we do our best to keep up with that, especially in the different companies controlling it at this point. But just to kind of run by it a little bit, we saw an increase in this account from FY22 to 23 of 67,000. FY23 mattress cost, $76,307. Now, we're recovering that, a lot of the commercials. Obviously, to the residents, we don't recover it all. We get a little bit from that. Number of mattresses recycled this fiscal year, 3,317. That's an increase of 889 over the year before. So we're very happy about that, and we're recovering the money. So it's working well, and the DEP likes to see that because I didn't get it in time, but the company that we use gave a fact sheet about how much material we kept out of the landfill just by our business with them. It was phenomenal. I'm kind of sorry. If I come back, I'll bring it with me. I got it as I was walking out the door, so I didn't have time to incorporate it. But that's some of the reasons for the increases there. And then after that, there's all small ones. We're looking at vehicle oil, 5,400, 5,482. The new machines are getting more technical. Every time we buy another machine, it uses a different kind of oil. So that's a little expensive. Caterpillar, we try to stay with Caterpillar as best we can. They're trying to keep their oil prices, or at least the types of oil they use amongst all the machines, the same. So 5,000 on that one. And then there was a small increase in clothing, which was driven by the current bargaining agreement, or last bargaining agreement. I don't know, it was a $2,600 increase in that one. So interestingly enough, if you look at the operational expenses, we're looking at $10,764,397. That's a $936,362 dollar increase. It's about a 9% increase. But if you take away those two accounts that we kind of live and die by, but if you take it away, it's less than 1.5%. So the overall increase is less than 1.5%.
Delete it.
Delete it. We are, and we will report to you guys, but as you know, we're developing a PFAS treatment plant. I don't want to get into that too much. You guys have had a long night already, but we'll be presenting that to you. It's coming up to 30% design. We're pushing it to get it designed and have it in our hand. We're comfortable that we have it. We have a solution. The problem is we don't know what the target is yet. There are no regulatory standards for wastewater right now, and I'm not complaining, because the fur is going to start flying when that happens. Everybody's going to be, all the sewage treatment plants, municipal sewage treatment plants, everybody's going to have to deal with it. We just want to be ready so that we can slap that thing on the table and go if we need to. The folks at Passaic Valley are very confident that they have a solution. It was interesting to talk to those folks. Don't worry about it. So the things that we have to worry about and what we have to be cognizant of is we may have to treat it to a certain amount before we can send it out of our facility. And if we do, we're going to be ready.
That's awesome. What is the,
Awesome, but it's not cheap.
what is the host dollar per ton, 2024? It's calendar year, isn't it?
Yes, 425 off the top of my head. Don't quote me, I'll get it. But it's like 425. It went up, CPI went up to like 8% a couple of years ago.
Yeah, so I'm interested in 2023, and then what it's going up to in 2024.
Yep,
So I can do my math.
yep, it's there. I'll get it to you, I'll email it to you.
Awesome.
Should have
Any
it.
questions for Dan? Thank you.
Pretty
Good
thorough.
job as always, you guys.
Always.
Asaph, nice
Yeah,
to see you
great.
there. You guys
My
do a great
backup
job.
man.
Yep.
Been out of the fold for a little while, so I gotta have my backup. Thank you and good evening.
All right, thank you so much.
So I'm going to do the last two budgets.
Okay.
Emergency management is tab 5. It is page 291-35. Sorry. Okay. Salaries are the COLA. We were able to reduce some of the costs for trailer storage rental. That's why you see the $1,300 reduction. You don't have to rent quite so much space anymore. And there are no other changes to the budget.
Excellent.
Last,
I like these quick ones.
the last one in information technology is tab 1. It's page 155-12. Sorry, it's not tab 1. It's tab 4. Tab 1.
The first general government. How's that?
Section 1. And I am proposing no changes for IT for FY '25. As you know, I have IT under evaluation. I'm going to be coming back to you with some reorganization ideas. I feel like at least budgetarily, I feel like the appropriation is adequate. I have to rearrange things and restructure things, but I don't think at this point, I think we don't need to ask for any more money.
Does it matter in this budget if things are in salaries versus expenses, or can that get fixed later?
We can fix that, we can fix that.
Okay,
My goal is to bring the reorganization to you this spring
okay,
and have it effective for July 1st. So FY '25 will start out, the money will be put where it needs to be after if you choose to vote
Okay.
the reorganization.
Perfect. Okay,
But we can fix that.
okay. So basically what you're saying, you're gonna reorganize, but you're gonna stay within the same budget.
That's correct. It'll be a no net change reorganization.
All right, any questions from the board on any of those budgets? Okay. Public? All right. Next item is review and discuss FY 2025 operating and capital budgets and possibly vote to turn them over. This is kind of our opportunity to make any sort of general comments and anything, I guess, that we want to have continually looked at. I mean,
We are expecting, I'm sorry to interrupt, we are expecting amendments, and, I mean, this is kind of a snapshot. This budget could still need to be changed.
okay.
We don't have the state aid numbers yet, we still have, it's still very much open, but this is the best I can do for right now.
And I think the process has been good. I think we've had stuff, we've had discussions with all the department heads. There are a couple minor things that I was a little bit concerned about. The reductions in recording secretaries,
Yeah.
which I know that you've come up with a new way of paying them. I'm kind of interested in what committees get recording secretaries and which ones don't, because that can be on some of the committees, it can be really burdensome not to have a recording secretary because you can't really participate in the discussion if you're trying to do that. But I'm certainly happy to turn this over to the finance committee, and then I'm interested in, grant, someone to help with grants, given the large amount of money that we heard about at the MMA conference, making sure that we can tap into that. So, but those are things that we can discuss throughout the process before we finalize, but does anyone else have any things they want to add to this, or are we ready to turn it over to the finance committee?
I think we're ready to have another pair of eyes on it.
Yeah.
Ready?
I mean, they've already started, so we might as well turn it
Right.
over to them.
Makes sense.
Anything else to bring up with this, or overall? I want to say great job, Marlene. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
tight budget year. You have balanced everything and tried to prioritize.
Erica has balanced everything.
Yeah, but your team, okay, Erica and Michael and Marlene, you've all worked together to prioritize. You've taken a hard look at things. You've come up with a balanced budget that helps everybody stay at like 3.5% in their budget increase, and I think it's good. So I'm happy with it. So,
Thank you.
okay, so we should have a motion if we're
Motion to send the draft fiscal year 25 operating and capital budget to the finance committee.
Second.
Motion by Anne Marie, second by Melissa. Is there any further discussion?
Everything except for the sewer.
Oh, well, yeah, okay, the general government fund.
Yes.
draft
Including the
budget.
sewer enterprise, yeah.
Okay.
I need to,
Send the general fund and ISWM
yes,
Yeah.
chief income.
thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any abstentions? Motion, yeah, it's unanimous, thank you. Next, policy.
Aye.
Okay, ready. Third reading.
All right, so curbside collection. If you look in your packet, this has been reviewed by council and pretty much, let's hold on eligibility for a second. Council's changes had to do with taking away the word warranty.
Yep.
Which is fine. I think that makes a lot of sense. He has very good reasons.
Right, yeah.
We don't need to talk about warranties in our policies. And then he wanted us to tighten up and use the term suspension or termination of service consistently. So you'll see some red line changes in there. So I think those are good improvements. I think the reason really that we're here to talk about is the solution to mixed-use properties.
Yep.
So the proposed language is mixed-use properties that include residential units shall be eligible for curbside collection for the residential units only, so long as the density does not exceed 4 units on the lot.
So, this was a question that I sent earlier. So mixed-use properties that include residential units shall be eligible for curbside collection for the residential units only, so long as the density does not exceed 4 residential units on the lot.
I'm happy to add another
Yeah.
residential.
And only because it's not the total units, we're counting the number of residential units.
That is
So
correct.
We could have 4 residential and 2 business, and it'd still be eligible. Yeah,
That's correct.
yeah, that's
Because there's no business unit pickup.
right. And the reason I actually asked that is there's some towns where actually go by the total number of units, not the residential, so. And the other thing was that I noticed that, so in the damaged carts thing, it used to be separated out by covered under warranty or not covered by warranty. And so it seems to me that these 2 sections need to be combined together in
That's
one
a-
section.
That's a good catch, thank you.
You know,
Yep.
damaged carts, and then, so, and basically, it's the difference between reasonable wear and tear
Yep.
and,
Yeah.
Damaged
Abuse.
by somebody.
Yeah.
or not necessarily abuse, but, that's above reasonable wear and tear, so whatever. And then, so on the, whatever, 2, 3, 2, whatever, the carts will be replaced or repaired by the town for reasonable wear and tear, blah, 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 blah. Then carts damaged by normal wear and tear shall be replaced as soon as possible by the department and delivered to the household by the staff. So that's, and I'm deferring, we're gonna say carts damaged by normal wear and tear, because then when you go down into the next section, you could eliminate the
Yep,
2-4-1, because we've already said that.
yep.
Then we have sort of, basically, we're gonna go to 3.3. Residents responsible for all damage above normal, yes, I'm fine with that. But I think to keep kind of parallel, residents will be responsible to pick up the replacement unit. In the prior one, it was part of that whole thing, so instead of
Yeah.
having a separate thing, they've already said, the replacement carts will be available at the DPW facility, so residents will be responsible to pick them up. And then the next one, their stolen carts will be issued if the resident has filed a police report and has provided the department a copy. The fee for replacement carts reported will be waived. It doesn't say whether, those will be delivered by DPW.
Okay, I will,
And I don't, whichever way, just as long,
if
it
there's a
should just.
police report and they're reported, we'll send out the replacement.
Right.
We'll take
And I
care of
think the
that.
difference is here is if it's normal wear and tear, or if it's stolen and you file a police report, we're gonna deliver it. But if it's not, if you're not taking care of your cart, this is like, you're gonna have to you're gonna have to bring it to us.
Yep.
And you're gonna have to come and pick it up. And, if you have to pay someone to do that, then that's your problem. But it's really, like, we're not helping you.
How do we determine that just kind of as they kind of make that, because I have one, honestly, I have a cart now that it's cracked in the top. I didn't do it.
Right.
I don't know how it happened.
Yeah, no.
So, I mean,
it's-
how do how do we know if it's me that did it or if it was who knows?
And, I mean, this is.
You know what I mean? So that's what I was curious. How
Yeah.
do we determine?
The
It has to be-
director of DPW
W.
determines whether, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If there's clear signs of negligence, or if you're replacing your cart every week.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more
habitual
excessive.
offenders.
It's
Yeah.
probably more excessive
Got it.
than, kind of like we've had that sewer discussion.
Yes.
Just curious, because I know somebody else would say, you know, because I don't know how mine, I have no idea, and it sits in the corner, so, you know, just curious.
And I don't think I had, other than that, I think it's good to go. I mean, those are my only two things, that just cleaning, sort of combining up that section of the car, obviously things have to be renumbered if you combine those two sections, but.
Yes.
I don't know, does anybody else have any
Yeah, they have,
other
they
comment?
follow the same.
I think this is good.
I mean, it's, not everybody's gonna be happy, but it is,
No.
based on the service we provide and the parameters in which that service can be provided, and how things are built, and how neighborhoods are established, and the criteria for developing and permitting. I think this is the policy that we need to have.
Any other comment from the board? Is there any comment from the public? Sure, Neil, come on up.
Good evening. As you are aware, I am here to advocate for trash and recycling for Wildwood Lane. 15 months, 5 select board meetings, and now the policy changes are being addressed, and I thank you for your efforts. My points that I have introduced in the past still stand tonight. Taxes are higher in our units than our neighbors. We pay approximately $190,000 in real estate tax revenue, 36 homes, and no trash service. We cannot request an abatement in taxes, says the assessor, who is at my home to tell me this. There are no other condo townhouses in Saginaw Beach to compare to. Apples to apples, not apples to oranges, as the town assessor quoted. We are willing to combine recycling bins to make it easier. The DPW stated 9 months ago that Wildwood Lane is an easy job. Wildwood Lane is a straight dead-end road where the current private trash service is finished in less than 10 minutes. Wildwood Lane meets sufficient roadway standards based on safety and access. If the board denies our request, I ask if there's an alternative, if the board will approve a tax abatement for not receiving services. Other than that, I thank you for your time and all your efforts.
Okay, thank you for your comment.
All right, thank you. Good night.
I will say that there are 1,038 condos in the town of Bourne, and I think under this policy, 87 will get trashed because they meet the density requirement of less than 4 units per
Well,
lot.
we are less than 4 per lot.
No, you're not, you're 12.
Per lot, it's changed. The planning board changed it. It is not parcel now, it's by lot.
Your property is on a 1.75 acre parcel that has, I believe, like 12 units on it. I'm not, yeah, your property is not less than 4 units per lot. And there are many other properties that do not get trashed because of the nature of the program. And the select board is not authorized to give abatements.
Yeah.
We can't give property tax abatements. So I'm sorry that you don't have trash. Hideaway Village doesn't get trash pickup.
No.
And, that's it. Okay, so is there a motion to approve the curbside collection policy with the addition of the residential in section 2.1.1 and the proposed changes to the cart section as amended?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Anne Marie, second by Melissa. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Congratulations, you have a policy. Whew, after 15 months.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's unfortunate, and I think we wish we really, as the select board, we really want to make everyone happy, but unfortunately, it's, you know, the parameters were set by the DP, I mean, I know you did a lot of meetings, and you've talked about it and discussed it, and, you know, as much as I wanted to, you know, I felt inclined to help, you still have to look at what, you know, the work you've done to come to this determination for the density, and we have to, you know, accept that, so.
And safety.
And safety, right, right.
Well, I think there's also exceptions that you can make, and there's exceptions you can't make. You can't have certain neighborhoods combining trash or doing this. It's not the program that we have. So if they have a trash service that works for them, their service, their development does not work for us, so.
And we can't
our
give
program.
tax abatements, as you
No,
said.
you
We're
can't.
not authorized to, as much as,
Well,
even if we
taxes
wanted
don't
to.
work that
right.
way.
Right,
And
we know.
There are services our taxes pay for, and we do not get that
Yeah,
service.
we don't get to check the box.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right
Thank
then.
you.
Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you.
All right, so I don't have to find the back of my thing. All right, so the next item is process for developing a draft marijuana review procedure using standing policy committees or ad hoc committees. So, you know, once again, we don't have a full membership, but we do have Melissa, so. So we didn't want to vote on this while you were, you know, recovering from your surgery.
Look in my wounds, yes.
Yeah, so, you know, we went through a lot of review, and hopefully you'll watch that
Yeah.
video, because we had a very thorough discussion about, you know, things that we were thinking about doing or not doing. We did talk about having a competitive process. We did talk about not holding one license for medical, just maybe giving extra points for for that. I've actually since had a thought that we might not give points, but just say highly advantageous, advantageous, or not advantageous, like we do for RFPs when we're rating different people and come up with a more not point-oriented thing. But so the question is, should this go to back to the policy subcommittee, or, you know, we kind of talked about you and Anne Marie perhaps being the subcommittee that would work on it, so it'd be an ad hoc subcommittee, and are you interested in that, or do you want to just put it back to the subcommittee?
Well, I think, you know, I did think about how that would look, and
Yeah.
I think, you know, to be fair and to have a sort of equal people, I think that our views are very different. We know we voted
Yeah.
separately, and I think in all fairness, that might make a good balance between Anne-Marie and myself to work on this. So
Yeah.
I'd certainly be willing to work with Anne-Marie and.
Yeah, I mean, you know, at this point, I absolutely respect the vote of the people,
Yeah.
because that is
Yeah.
my responsibility.
Yeah.
And to have a process that's
Sure.
equitable but, you know, I may not agree with the outcome, but I absolutely respect the vote of the people.
Absolutely.
So we actually have to vote to establish a subcommittee, because it does have to be a subcommittee, it does have to be under the open meeting law, does have to be posted meetings, but so, I think if we establish an ad hoc subcommittee for, developing the draft review procedures, I think, I would entertain that motion.
I think if I can just say
Sure.
if I may, I think that and not only is the balance a good idea, I think, as you said, the competitive, these things are already in
Right.
place in so many other towns. I
Right.
know I've reviewed, 1 billion host community agreements, and you know me, I mean, we don't want to reinvent the wheel, but I think it's important that we talk about it as well, so.
So the host
Oh,
community
yeah.
agreements, we pretty much discussed that there is a host community agreement template,
yeah.
and that's what we're gonna use.
Yeah, good.
Because you can't mess around with what they've
The language,
established,
sure.
and you don't wanna have a non-compliant.
Yeah.
So there are some things that we're gonna have to put in about fees and certain fees, and that's really all that we have to do on our host community agreement, and like the particulars of who gets contracted. So the host community agreement, I think, is not a heavy lift. I think we're just gonna, and they're gonna be discussing that again. So when they get their final one, we'll just adopt that. I think it's really a matter of our procedure, coming up with the things that we wanna review and things that we wanna compare candidates, proposed applications on. Think about whether a point system, or think about highly advantageous or not advantageous, because you can kind of use that as like sort of generally, get a sense of, rather, I don't want to sit there and go, oh, I'm going to give them 3 points, or I'm going to give them 4. I don't want to get into that. I'd really like to be more kind of global, so, but it's really focusing on the review process and how we're going to go through the applications, and I think that if you guys can work out those things about what's important and what's not important, that we can make some progress, so,
Okay.
yeah. So, I'll make the motion. I think I'm allowed to make the motion, right? Yeah. I move that we establish a, select board, ad hoc subcommittee, for the purpose of developing the draft marijuana review procedures.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Any comment from the public? If you have to come up, you have to come up.
And I know we're bumping up against 9 o'clock.
Yeah, we're past, but like,
Okay, Steve Stroney, Monument Beach. So with the March 1st deadline coming up, the question I would have is just, when would we envision this ad hoc subcommittee meeting? Is this going to be something on a weekly basis going forward?
I don't know when they're gonna meet, but I don't think it's, I mean, it's gonna be a couple meetings, so they're gonna have
A
to.
lot, I don't think
yeah.
it would be it's not,
Right.
because I think a
well,
lot of it's
I don't
written,
think it'll be a
thankfully,
lot. I
right?
just think it's probably 2 or 3.
Sometimes our policy subcommittees usually meet a week, like
Twice
every
a
other
month?
week or something.
Twice a
We
month,
have
yeah.
met, so they'll have a couple meetings before March.
And that's really the only question I
And
have.
we don't even have the Attorney General's thing yet, so we don't have the approval yet, right? Yeah,
Well,
so,
but that'll
Right.
be February 6th is if they don't ask for an extension, the deadline, right?
If they meet the deadline.
I can't remember.
yeah, November,
I-
December to January to February, yeah. They'll
Right.
probably get it for the zoning.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion to establish ad hoc, policy subcommittee. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. You have to get sworn in.
Yeah, we'll set that
Okay.
up.
Okay. Perfect. Sorry you had to stay so long.
I
for
know,
that really brief
sorry.
discussion, but it's all good, right?
Moving forward.
Okay, we're
Oh,
making
boy.
progress. Public-facing FAQ page
Oh.
for submitting correspondence to the select board. I don't really want to go into this now. I have some, we put this on for tonight because we'll just do it. Does anybody have any comment? Do you have any comments you want to share with the policy subcommittee, Melissa, on this, or? I think I've made a bunch of scratches on it, but yeah. I think the only thing is, what if we don't want my correspondence in the public packet?
Yeah.
They were looking for guidance on that.
Right.
I feel you just say, if you don't want it in the public packet, just say
Just
so.
say so.
Say, if the person
Yeah.
who's sending it, you
Yeah,
mean, right,
yeah.
yeah.
If
Because
they
I know
say
we've
so-
received some message that says this doesn't have to be in the public packet.
Yeah,
or-
we have been.
But I
Yeah.
understand it's not private, so that's
Right.
okay.
So
right?
we would have to say any correspondence received by the select board members is a public record and may be released under the freedom of information. So it may not go in the public packet, but it doesn't mean it's gonna be private
Oh,
correspondence.
absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
So that's what I would do for that.
Okay.
What was the other thing they were looking for guidance?
If someone wants their name redacted, so we won't allow them to write anonymously, but if someone doesn't want their name disclosed, are you okay
And they
with
shouldn't
that?
write to the full Board of Selectmen.
That's kind of how I feel too. I mean, I think if you're sending correspondence that you want in the public packet, it's like it's like when you write an opinion, you put your name on it, right? I don't know. I kind of agree.
You're right.
It's published in the public packet. It's because they put their name and address, and it becomes public, yeah.
Well, so we redact addresses, and people have asked us
Right,
to
but to
put their
qualify it in the
correspondence
public
in the
packet, yeah.
packet, but redact their name, and that's different.
So I would say, for something that's going in the public packet, we should not redact a name.
Names
Right,
will
that's what
not
I'm
be
saying.
redacted.
Names will not be, right?
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. If it's going in the public packet, why redact the name?
Yeah, if you don't want it, I mean.
Just
and-
say, don't, yeah.
No.
if you
it's-
don't think-
You
yeah.
can give correspondence to the select board without your street address or contact information. The select board's gonna get it. It's not gonna go in the public packet.
Right.
So, no, if we are not, that redacted names would be synonymous with anonymous. And then would we be required to not disclose their name because they didn't redact it? No. Names are not redacted. We'll redact, and we need to put someplace in our instructions that we do redact the street address and contact information for people who put stuff in there that we're putting in the packet, but we don't redact the name.
Yep. Okay.
We all in agreement with that?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I want to send a letter, and I don't want anyone to know this, but I want the people to know that I wrote it. No.
Then send a letter to the editor.
And I've
You
got-
can't even do that.
We'll bring this back to we'll kind of clean it. Policy sub will work on this again, and we'll kind of clean it up.
Okay.
Because I made a bunch of other scratches, but those were the main things they were looking for guidance
Yes.
on, so.
Yes.
Oh, the other thing is, when we wrote the policy, we wrote something about letter from individual residents in our policy. And they took that to mean that if it wasn't a resident, it shouldn't be included in the packet ever. And I think we might have to rewrite that policy because it wasn't just residents. I don't know, we had a letter from someone in Centerville.
We did.
Yeah. I mean, if there's someone from another town writes us a letter to all selectmen and gives all their contact information, should we exclude it from the packet because they're not a resident?
No, it's still considered public information.
Public
Yeah.
if they're residents of Massachusetts, right? I mean, I guess.
I mean, it's public. It's
Yeah.
just whether or not you
Public.
want it to be part of your.
Include, oh,
In our packet.
It's,
Why not, right? I mean, we have DEP letters that come from.
Well, that's
all
a different,
That's-
that's an
I get it, but you know
individual.
what I mean. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see why it shouldn't be, I guess. I guess that's what I'm saying. I don't know we
I
wouldn't.
don't know, we'll go back and look at
Yeah,
that,
we'll
look
look
at that
at it.
language,
That's a
because
good
I don't
idea.
think that's what
Let
we
me
were trying to
look
get at.
closer to that.
okay.
We'll bring that back for further review. Okay. All right, we're good with that, right? No minutes, committee reports. We are gonna talk about the MMA conference, but we're gonna do it on February 6th. We're
Okay.
gonna kind of do a debrief. We are gonna meet on February 6th. The time of the meeting's gonna be 7 to 8:30. We're gonna have a hard stop at 8:30. But we're gonna do some policy. We're gonna talk about some of the policy things.
We do have a vacancy on the Cable Internet Telecommunications Advisory Committee, so anyone interested for general public, submit a form.
Request, okay. I forget what we said. Diversity.
Equity and
Maritime,
inclusion. Yeah.
2-6. We didn't say South Side. We're still leaving that. We're still leaving that on the 20th, right? It was,
South
just
Side Fire
policy.
Yep.
The request for the committee for the 100th anniversary, the special events policy, the introduction of the financial policy revision. That's what we're gonna do on February 6th. Then we'll
Okay.
meet on the 13th to the 20th, and then we'll not meet on March 5th, and I don't know what election that is. It's an election day.
Yep, I can't.
It's a
state
primary.
Primary,
The state primary.
yeah.
Because Barry said they
It's the
were like
primary.
in,
I don't know what he's talking
Well,
about
he's
September.
talking about FY '25.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right. Whatever, okay. All right,
Yeah. Correspondence?
yes,
Select Board's correspondence for January 23rd, 2024. A, Department of Environmental Protection letter, the 5-year review, Joint Base Cape Cod Impact Area Groundwater Study Program. B, Independence House fiscal year 24 second quarter stats. C, license application for a pier at 10 Briarwood Lane. And D, Upper Cape Tech minutes from 12/14/2023.
thank you. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Anne Marie, second by Melissa. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstentions, it's unanimous.